Hey guys, it's the Friction here at accompanying, however you call me, I don't really care. Welcome back to World of Tanks. Today, very quick gameplay, just like the other gameplay that I released prior, where I wanted to really underline the importance of support and how effective you can be in a position where you know you can spot enemies, and how incredibly difficult it is to get a tank like this, the Astron Rex, out of a forward position where it actually is outnumbered 5-1, but still has the support and kind of can lock down an entire flank. And today we're doing that on Halluf. We get very lucky at the beginning because the RHM Borsig with its 155mm gun, or 100 and... well, I'm not entirely sure what the caliber is once again, but it's a 150mm gun at least, that was loading high explosive and managed to hit the side of my turret, but the turret is fairly strong, this thing, so he didn't really manage to do a lot of damage there. But once you get into this position, the Fishbowl here on Halluf, you have kind of committed to an attack where you can barely get out of alive if it fails. And you are incredibly reliant on all of the tank destroyers that are sitting at the back. That's why I actually went here, because I knew that all of the TDs right there are going to help me save this flank. Now, one of the interesting things about Halluf is the fact that the corner here can become a real death trap, but this corner is incredibly important for your advance here, because if these guys here are able to survive and push into that, you will lose a lot of the support you have in form of the tank destroyers at the back, who will actually move over here, and you will not have any fire support. So they kind of have to hold the line so that these guys stay here and that they still have targets. You kind of have to move out and you have to spot for them. If you do that, they'll stick around and they'll support you, but if you don't do that, you're going to have a few tanks that will probably just kind of fall over there, go to the other side to get some shots in, and you're going to be all by yourself. So it's very important that you have a little bit of a balance and you have the map awareness to know exactly where your teammates are and what you're supposed to be doing. Now, we did get hit by the Stridswagen 103B. That tells us that the one of the two tier 10s is actually hiding right up there, and he's in a very dangerous position for himself, because as soon as he gets lit up there, he's going to have a very, very bad time. So a very interesting thing right now is that we actually have a Sharpshooter 4, a T-44, and us here very close to the enemy. And these guys are actually going to be putting a lot of pressure on all of the tanks that are up here. You can see the Stridswagen 103B is going to get absolutely dunked on by several tanks in just a moment, while we are actually shooting this Rheinmetall Borsig. Now, unfortunately for us, the Astron Rex is not the most accurate vehicle, but it is fairly competent in a close quarter engagement, even though it has a 4-second intra-clip reload. So what we're doing right now is we're putting some pressure on the Stridswagen. We're putting pressure on the ISU-152K, the Kunzepanzer up here, the Indien, the RHM, and there's also a Stridswagen S1 up here somewhere that we're going to be putting some pressure on. So what is really important is that we keep these guys lit up, because now we have an incredibly effective range of fire and ways of fire from the TDs that are over here that have moved into a very offensive position at D4 to the TDs at the back and a tank destroyer over here. So anything that might pop up in front of us, behind us, or above us is going to get nailed to the wall by all of these guys. And you can see right there, that's exactly what just happened to the Indien Panzer. He got nailed by the Grille 15, and sadly we're not going to end up with a huge amount of assistance damage, because we're kind of sharing it between the T-44, ourselves, and the Sharpshooter 4 that has died prior on the ridgeline right here. But you can see how incredibly effective the supporting fire of these tank destroyers can be when you get into a position such as this one. This Stridswagen 103B could have been a very important asset at shooting these tanks over there, or maybe been right here and kept us off the ramp. But this Stridswagen 103B is going to die in this position because he has no way to remain hidden as long as I stay here and proxy spot these two guys. So it's just a matter of time until they die, Here, the STRV dies over there, and now it's all about the Slitzwagen and the Kunze that is going to drop down here anytime soon. So it's pretty damn impressive how much of a force you can actually bind down if you are in a position like I am, because if they want to kill me, they have to move out of their way, and they really have to invest quite a bit of HP and manpower to get me out of this position. Now the T-44 did die, and we have one crazy RHM that is just going to ram me, and we almost die because the Kunze actually does hit us, but in the end we get the assistance damage from the tank destroyers over there. Now, having done this play, it is only really effective, and it only really works as long as the push over there does not stall, or as long as the enemies do not overwhelm our forces in that area. But it shows you just how crazy important supportive fire is, and even if you do not get the most out of the assistance damage because somebody else has always kind of been able to light them up in the moment before or after you actually lit them up, it's just as important to be at that position, because we're able to bind down several forces that were not able to clear us out of this position, and it just shows you how effective this strategy still can be on this map, even in the year 2023, if you do have enough of the manpower and if everything kind of goes according to plan. Now, if things do not go according to plan and you find yourself out here all by yourself and your tanks are not able to support you, well, you might be looking at a very frustrating time on this ridgeline. I've had that as well. I've had that happen quite a few times. One thing I can tell you guys on how to counter this is, if you have control of the corner over there and artillery moves on over to, let's say, about H1, and the enemy is like not close enough to be able to spot artillery can actually dunk down shells down this road. And that is sometimes a very important thing, especially if they're hiding behind the rock or over there, because you do not want to overexpose yourself on those rocks up there or over there, and you do not want to be in the same position the STRV 103B is, because as soon as they are able to push the corner over there, you're going to get toasted from two sides and you're not going to be able to run away. So it's a very difficult thing to defend this attack here, and it's way more easy on the other side, because you have the ability to actually crossfire anything that tries to go up the ramp over there, and then they have a very long way to get around the corner here. But as soon as they get around the corner over there, it becomes a lot more difficult to get these guys out of out of their position as it is to get these guys out of here. So sometimes you just have to take a risk. Sometimes you have to get into a position and you have to take some damage at the beginning to be able to be very effective at the end of the game. And I think that's exactly what we did with the T-44, with the Schaffer-4. We were able to actually do quite a bit of damage here, even though our damage numbers are nothing crazy insane. We're still able to put up the assault and the defense of the enemies for quite a long time, so that we were able to finish off the job. So yeah, sometimes supporting fire is incredibly difficult to kind of counter, and sometimes it's really helpful when you're pushing, most of the times. So I'll see you guys on the next video. Until then, have a good one.